Hi there, this is Jeff, and today I was going to show you a few things that I've done with leaves when I do any kind of coloring in one of my coloring books or stamped items. I'm going to show you this using a page from the Joanna Basford 2018 Sketch a Day calendar. As you can see, I already done some coloring here. And this is the January 1st page, which is a bit from the Jungle book. Not the Rudyard Kipling one, but Majestic Jungle. And so just come on over here to the table and I'll show you exactly how I do it. Okay, here we are at my stamp table, and we're going to color some leaves. Now, you might notice that I have a whole selection of Prismacolor pencils here. Normally I work with polychromos pencils, but I wanted to work with some Prismacolors today just to show you some other forms of colored pencil technique. This is just the technique that I do to get results that I like to see on the pages and bits that I color. Feel free to modify, use, not use, discover your own style, but maybe use it as a jumping off point. You'll notice that I don't have just green here. Well, that's because leaves aren't just green. I'm sure you've walked down the city street during the fall and noticed green, yellow, red, and brown. So I picked some of each kind of color, and I'll show you some of the things that I do when I color leaves. So let's push these over to the side. Okay. Now, with a Prismacolor, since Prismacolors blend and they don't, they're not as layerable as polychromos pencils, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start by putting some of this chartreuse in the middle of this leaf. Just like that. Because I want this to be a highlight in the middle of the leaf. Now, as I've got a pretty good layer of the pigment in the center now, so as I pull it out, I'm just barely touching the paper with the tip of the pencil. And that creates a gradient where it sort of peters out and then becomes nothing. Okay, so we'll put that one off to the side, and then I will pull out these two pencils, which are lime peel and apple green. I think I'll go with the lime peel here. And I'll start from the tip. And come in like that. Sharpen this up a little bit. Then come back in with the chartreuse and go over the area just lightly. I'm not pushing down real hard here to just blend those two together. And I'll bring the chartreuse down a little bit more. I'll take the apple green and come up from the bottom. Again, not a whole lot of pressure at the blending point. Actually, I'll bring in the lime peel and cover the blended area. There. Now this part is optional. If you happen to have one of these, you can use it in case you would like to see this blended a little bit more. But this is a colorless blender. This is a colorless pencil. It contains the wax, not the pigment. Scratch that off a little bit. Still have some red on that tip. And just, now I color in little circles. You use whatever stroke works best for you when coloring. Whatever feels right for you, do that. Now, the one thing that this colorless blender will tend to do, or at least it does for me, is that if you use the blender after you've laid on a lot of pigment, it will start to pull some of it up and you'll see like little crumbs and flakes. And so be careful when you use this to maybe use it before you put down too much pigment. Okay, I'm not quite completely happy with this, so, or as I say, I don't not hate it yet. I'm gonna keep going until I don't hate it. And then at the tip, at the very, very tip here, turn this a little bit. Just put some of this really dark green in there. Come back in with lime peel. Blend that out. Just so that you know, this dark green is dark green. Okay, now other leaves that you've seen that are kind of yellowish, what I usually do when I start with those is I take a color like this. Now this one is jasmine, okay? And I'm just going to start here, instead of going all the way from side to side, what I'm going to do is start at the edge. And again, this is just my way of doing things. If you have a way that works for you, do that. Okay. And then getting in a little bit darker, this is yellow ochre. Very light. I don't want the yellow ochre to pop. At least not quite yet. There we go. Now, since I haven't used a whole lot of the pigment yet, I'll scratch that off a little bit. I'll blend it out a little bit first. Okay. Now I'll come back in with the jasmine. And then at the very center, just at maybe the middle going straight up, I'm using canary yellow here. And so now you have a leaf that looks a little desiccated. Now, let's pick another leaf here that we can sort of make a reddish brown. We'll try that one. So bring this forward a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Now, usually brown leaves, again, we're going to put brown at the tips, although this actually is Tuscan red, but it's a nice kind of a brown. So I will find this brown. Now this is light umber. I'm just going to put some at the tip and some at the corners. And then a little bit in the center. And come in with the Tuscan red. Maybe just a little bit here. Because this is a very darkish red. So if you wanted to have a brighter looking red, then you'd want to come in with something else. But when I add a brighter looking red, either Scarlet Lake or Carmine red, I want to make sure that there's enough darkness already present in the leaf so that it doesn't look like, oh my God, red! So now this is actually crimson red. So I'll add some of that. And then come back in with the light umber. And then I'm going to take this. Now this is ginger root, which is a lovely sort of whitish brown. And blend that out a little bit. So you don't always have to use the blending tool for that. I mean the blending pencil for that. You can use a lighter color. That'll work just fine. Now I think I will... See, it's kicking up dust, and I haven't really done much. Put a little more Tuscan red, so it's a little darker here at the bottom. And there we go. Then to do a fully different kind of a brown, we'll try this one right here. Now this brown is burnt ochre. And we'll maybe make this a yellowish brown. So I'll come in with the yellow ochre after I've done this. And this is jasmine. I'll use that in a second. This is the yellow ochre. See, unlike Copics, pencils don't really come with, already grouped in color families. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you might have to be a little more careful in how you're blending stuff. If you're not sure if two colors are going to blend to your satisfaction, then do it over here. Since I'm using a calendar page, do it over here on this side. Or if you happen to have scratch paper from something else or some leftover bits from your junk mail, go ahead and just scratch out on those and see if it's something that you want to try. Okay, then I'll come in with the jasmine. Just like that. And there you have a nice brownish yellow leaf. Now let's say you want to go really dark green. So I'll do this one right here. And this is the dark green again. Just like this. Again, I'm making the outsides really nice and dark using plenty of decent pressure. And with a Prismacolor, don't push too hard, especially right after you've sharpened it, because it will cause the tip to break. Polychromuses won't quite do that, but then again, they're more expensive and it's a different medium. So this is mostly dark green. Then I'll come in with this one, which is olive green, which is a slightly different color. Just put that at the bottom. And then I'll come in with the lime peel. Blend out some more pigment. There we go. So at least now we have a nice dark green leaf. Let me put a little more dark green in here. That has a slightly lighter middle, which is kind of what light leaves are like in reality. And then, of course, now that we've done that, we can bring the stem down if you want, just like that. And now the other thing you can do, oh, I'm always coming up with new things you can do, huh? We'll do this one here, but I'll start with this leaf, this green, which is the apple green, because leaves do not always turn completely brown. So bring the gradient out this way, and then we will add some yellow, in this case some yellow ochre, well this is jasmine, but some yellow ochre and some jasmine, just to give it a transition from green. And then at the bottom we'll go back to the burnt ochre. Again, here at the blending site, very light. You just barely graze the surface like that. Just like that. I'll come back in here with the jasmine. I was going to add some yellow ochre, but I think I like it the way it is with just the jasmine. I'll leave it like that. Okay, that's more pigment to totally blend it out. And there you have one that's in the middle of turning brown. So there are a lot of different things you can do with leaves just with the pencils. I've also seen people, when you have a fairly large empty leaf like this, they'll draw a center and then add, vein lines that like they're here, like she's done here, except they add their own extra vein lines. Totally up to you what you want to do with it. It's your coloring book, it's your time, do what you want. So I hope that this little demonstration of some of the things that I do with leaves will help you with coloring your own stuff. So go out there, color, have some fun, and again, thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, please leave me a comment, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.